What's up, folks? Okay, I guess I'm not allowed to stream on Twitter anymore, folks. Really kind of dystopian stuff that's going on here. I lost another YouTube channel last night when I was sleeping, but this is your intelligence officer for the GhislaineMaxwell trial. My name is Addy Ads, best-selling ghostwriter, author, and reporter, investigative reporter, somewhat of a journalist. I don't really like the word journalist, but I guess I do journal sometimes from the American Midwest. And again, lost my YouTube channel last night. There is another one that I'm going to tweet out, I guess. I'm really kind of losing it with YouTube. I'm pretty much not allowed on the website, but this is on Rockfin. So I'm going to start sending people to Rockfin and Rumble, but in particular Rockfin, because I'm able to actually get paid for my work that I do instead of having YouTube steal it all and then send it into their black hole of censorship. But again, not streaming to Twitter either. So that's really unfortunate there. But again, we are working with what we can here, people. It is not easy when you got to fight the censorship, and as far as that goes, I'm still, I'm jabbing and weaving, I'm dodging and jabbing, and I'm trying to roll with the punches here. But week two, day one, saw a new witness come to the stand. Her name is Kate. That's her pseudonym. Obviously, I am able to identify her if I want to, but we don't want a mistrial. Of course, I don't want to interrupt or mess with the court proceedings, so I'm not going to reveal what her identity is. But it was revealed, and the judge made sure that the jury knew this, that she was, in fact, above the age of consent when she first met Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. And I did get some quotes down for her, and we're going to go into this. Also, I'm going to be on Jason Burmis's show at the top of the hour, so in 24 minutes. So this is not going to be a super long intelligence briefing, but look for the link when I do tweet that out with Jason Burmis. So that's top of the hour. He is also someone who is not allowed on YouTube. So let that be known. But as far as this morning, I did get Kevin Maxwell, brother of Ian Maxwell, walking into the courthouse. I posted a press conference that they held after the trial ended today. Trial day ended, and that was right in front of the courthouse steps there. He was basically pleading for Merrick Garland, Attorney General of the United States of America, as it stands right now, to improve the conditions for Ghislaine Maxwell. He's complaining about her food, the fact that she's shackled up and she's basically an old woman, 59. Not old, but older, shall we say. And he was arguing that she's not a threat to the public at this time, so she should be not shackled and should get better food. So if people want to see that, that'll be on, again, the fastest way to get my updates is on Twitter at @1ADDYADS, ONEADDYADDS. But I do have amazingly fast internet right now. Excuse the mess, guys. I'm working with what I got here. I'm in Manhattan. It's really expensive, and I'm really fortunate to have somebody helping me out with lodging right now. So I'm really grateful for that. Okay, let's get into it. Again, Kate was on the stand today. She's in her 40s now. She said she stopped getting in touch with Epstein when she became a mother. Just shared some quotes here. She said, "I had a really lovely time, and I felt really special." That is going to the townhouse in London that was owned by Ghislaine Maxwell, which Sean Atwood actually visited and did a video there, knocking on the door, and a newskeeper, or excuse me, a maid, newskeeper, a housekeeper, a maid opened the door, and they did get shots of that to prove that that is in fact where the famous picture of Virginia Giuffre and Prince Andrew came up. And speaking of Prince Andrew, his name did not come up in court, but a certain unnamed member of the royal family did, and we can all assume who that is, but we're going to get to that as well. She said that he was going to love me. She being Ghislaine, he being Epstein, said Kate. He seemed to be in his 40s, assessing Epstein's age at their first meeting. And one thing I noticed about Ghislaine too is she kept putting her hand up to her forehead throughout the proceedings today, especially the first half of the day when she was writing. She would kind of cover her face like this, particularly when the victim, or again, my mistake there. I misspoke. Not a victim, and the I guess the judge wanted to make her known that because she was of the age of consent by the time she met Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, that the jury should not let her sexual activities with Epstein to preclude them from assessing the correct verdict. Basically, what she said was to look wrongly or poorly on the character of Epstein and Maxwell because she was of the age of consent. That's what Nathan said at the beginning of the day today. And Maxwell, I guess, was bragging about how strong this girl was. Why don't you give his feet a little squeeze to show him how strong you are? Massaging his shoulders as well. And Epstein answered a call, and then Ghislaine ushered her out the first time. And Ghislaine said he needed massages all the time, and it was very difficult to keep up. And the first time there was a sexual interaction with them, with Epstein and Miss Kate, Epstein took off a road. Ghislaine Maxwell gave her massage oils. Epstein initiated contact, intercourse with her during the massage. How did it go? Said Ghislaine afterwards. Did you have fun? Was it good? Ghislaine Maxwell said after the massage. Second time, Epstein was in the nude, no robe. Ghislaine Maxwell said, have a good time, and then closed the door. Again, asking, did you have fun? Quote, you're such a good girl. He obviously likes you a lot. She sounded really pleased, said Kate, and I was really pleased that she was pleased. She didn't bring up sexual topics on the phone, said Kate. She talked about the nature of boys and their willies. That's a quote. That's a quote right there. She asked me if I knew anyone that could come and give Jeffrey a BJ because it was a lot for her to do. That's another quote. All the time, quote unquote. And we're going to get to that here. Kate did connect Ghislaine Maxwell with, I'm sorry, she did not connect Maxwell with any girls for Epstein. And she said he needed to have intercourse 3 times a day. And this is interesting too. She describes Maxwell as almost like a schoolgirl. Everything was fun. Everything was silly. Everything needed to be a fun, silly joke. And that was Kate commenting on the demeanor of Ghislaine Maxwell when she was talking about sexual topics. And commenting on Ghislaine, she said, I understood that her job was to take care of Jeffrey's needs. She seemed to know everybody. She told me she was friends with Prince Andrew, approximately in my early 30s, when Jeffrey Epstein stopped initiating sexual activity with Kate. And that is another interesting thing, too, because the oldest that I had heard that Epstein liked women was 22 or 23, but even younger is what many people have said. And here we have Kate here asserting that she was partaking in activity with Epstein in her early 30s. So that's something I had never heard before, and I think it is surprising for most people because most people thought that Epstein was only into underage girls. These massages, quote unquote, again, that's a euphemism there, took place in London, Palm Beach, Little St. James as well. There were no non-sexual massages that took place. She was gifted a small black Prada handbag for her 18th birthday and met with Epstein and Maxwell together just 4 to 5 times from the ages of 18 to 24, all in commercial flights. Quote, sometimes one of the assistants would book it. Maybe Leslie Groff, who I've mentioned before as well, as a co-conspirator. She said there were lots of photographs of young girls. I'm sorry about that. That's my laundry, which I'll have to get to after this before my interview with Jason Burmis at the top of the hour. Lots of photographs of young girls unclothed. I was given a schoolgirl outfit, and we're going to give to the relevance of the schoolgirl outfit here in a second. Kate was told to bring a tray to Epstein wearing the schoolgirl outfit, and she also recalls on Little St. Jeff's, as he called it, Little St. James, seeing a blonde, slim girl who seemed younger than me, far younger, and that presumably is Virginia Dufresne, but that was not verified in court. I thought that she was going to be my friend, commenting on Maxwell. She continued to communicate with Jeffrey Epstein through her 20s and early 30s with a friendly tone, which I think the defense may try to use against the prosecution as well, asserting that's voluntary communication. And this was at the beginning of the day. Obviously, we had Sergeant Michael Dawson at the end of the day Friday, and they both sides agreed to a stipulation read by Everdell so that Dawson wouldn't, for his own convenience, have to come back Monday after the weekend. And then that was when the government called witness Kate to the stand as well. So she, in the past, has helped women with trauma and substance abuse, as she herself was a drug addict for about a decade. And that's something I believe as well, that the defense is trying to assert adults her memories because she was addicted to drugs, particularly alcohol, cocaine, and sleeping pills. She was 17 in the year 1994 when she met Epstein, who I believe was 35 at the time, so relatively young there, and described Maxwell as impressive with short, dark brown hair in her 30s. Kate gave Maxwell a number, saw her a few weeks later, and then commenced the happenings that I just went over. Again, she was addicted, and she asserted they helped me, the medicine, drugs helped her to cope with the way that she was dealing. And she had a huge amount of humiliation and shame as well. Talked to the FBI first, for the first time, talking to somebody from the government about Epstein and the Epstein investigation in August of 2019. She also received a $3.25 million Epstein Victim Compensation Fund, which necessitated her signing a waiver saying she wouldn't sue any of Epstein's employees, with no plans to sue Maxwell, no hope for more money, and no financial stake in the outcome of the trial, which is a question they've asked, I think, every witness now. Bobby Sternheim gave I don't want to say brutal, but it was a pretty difficult, probably for Kate, cross-examination today. Starting off with Ghislaine was everything you wanted to be, correct, and that was met with assent. Kate's stepfather was wealthy, had his own plane. She lived in the Belgravia section of London, which is well-to-do. And she also considered herself fiercely ambitious, asked Sternheim, saying at one point in time she spent 90% of the time thinking about her next move, the other 10% of the time thinking about her dog. And why are they bringing up the ambition thing? Again, I think that's playing into the gold digger angle and the desire to move up the ladder, to be a social climber, shall we say. She also started a reality show about people trying to make it in Hollywood. She currently works as a musical therapist, and her lawyer introduced her under her real name at a public hearing. Her lawyer is Brad Edwards, and if you recall from my Twitter, I posted a few other places as well this morning. I saw him and I was like, oh, that's Brad Edwards. So I got a video of him walking in the courthouse this morning, and I was wondering what he was doing there, because I knew he wasn't part of the trial in any official capacity, but I think he was there in support of his client, who again is to be unnamed, at least for the duration of this trial. Although if you do have a bit of a Holmesian investigative hat on you, I'm sure you can figure out who this person is based on the information I'm giving you now. But again, I'm not going to tell you guys what that is, because I don't want to negatively influence the trial by just playing it safe here. Not that any of the jurors watch my show. Again, that's one of the stipulations, was that they knew as little as possible about these people so that they could be as neutral as possible when making their decision as a jury. And she also at one point in time was in touch with Virginia Roberts. She's referenced in Brad Edwards' book, who wrote a book about this whole Epstein saga, at least from his point of view. And this is a counter to the drug addiction argument that the defense seems to be getting at with regards to the drug abuse, and that was that she was testified to always being instructed to not to use drugs around Epstein or Maxwell, that is, to be sober around them. And even I believe it was Sarah Kellen had a substance abuse at one point in time, so she had to actually temporarily stop working for Epstein due to that. So I actually found that interesting that Epstein was himself sober in that sense. Also brought up was the fact that her husband divorced her after 1 year, who was a restaurateur. Again, I think this is playing into the character attacks, the character assassination, to discredit anything that the victim might say negatively about Maxwell or even Epstein. Also asked was, did you plant drugs on your child to win the custody case with your ex-husband? She denied that as well. So again, attacking the character there. And this was brought up as well. She attempted to visit Epstein in New York. She said, I felt compelled to contact him, and she exchanged emails with Epstein while he was arrested. And I believe this is the first time, if I'm not mistaken. and he requested pictures of her. And the first witness, Kim, sent him pictures in jail, which obviously doesn't look that great for the prosecution. The second one didn't, but they did have email correspondence while Epstein was in jail. Bobby Sternheim, for Maxwell's defense, tried to admit this or submit this as evidence, and it got objected by the prosecution. I think it was Pomerantz. It could have been Mo. I'm not really sure. It's kind of hard to tell them apart. They're both kind of smaller brunette ladies. Comey's easier to tell apart because she's like tall. And anyways, and the judge sustained that objection on the grounds of hearsay. So that was not admitted. Also, I mentioned Andrew brought up was a recorded conversation with an unnamed during the trial today member of the British royal family, with whom she had an acquaintanceship with, a recorded conversation of her trying to get drugs from him. She was embarrassed by the situation, and Sternheim was asking if she made money off it, asking, "You did it for a free." Again, doesn't look great there. Email correspondence with Jeffrey Epstein while he was in jail, as I mentioned, and exhibit showing correspondence was not submitted. But I guess after lunch, which I was updating the audience on my Twitter, they did admit the metadata from the emails, but not the content itself. So that is relevant there. And as far as the schoolgirl outfits, pretty big mistake by the prosecution. I would wager they decided or leaned toward not including these schoolgirl outfits as evidence because they wanted to protect the feelings of the victims and not cause them further trauma, which Judge Nathan seemed to assent to or consent to. And doesn't again looks like a pretty big mistake by the prosecution because it would aid the jury in helping them understand Epstein's predilection or desire for young girls via those schoolgirl outfits, even just seeing photos of them. And so a little bit confusing there. Not really sure what the prosecution was thinking, other than again the protection of the victims in the form of, or insofar as preventing further trauma or hurt feelings. And towards the end of the day, we actually had testimonies from 2 FBI agents on the stands. Special Agent Kelly McGuire, Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Task Force, who headed the execution of the search warrant on the 6th of July, 2019 at 9 East 71st Street, Manhattan, Upper East Side, a residence of Jeffrey Epstein, gigantic house. Again, she was the search team leader, not assigned to investigate the case, just conducting the execution of the warrant as far as being the leader. And this is Government Exhibit 932, which doesn't mean anything to you, but it was the townhouse, which you may be aware of as well, Jeffrey Epstein's townhouse, which you can look it up using that address I just gave. 19,000 square feet, 40 rooms, gigantic house, and various pictures of the house were submitted as evidence, as well as the massage room, which was shown. Pictures on the wall were redacted, which I think is relevant, probably sexual in nature. It's tough, guys, because I try not to censor myself, because I don't like doing that. I feel like it's a slippery slope. Again, it doesn't really seem like I'm loud on YouTube, but maybe I should give it a shot. I don't really know. People think, oh yeah, just censor yourself, man. Maybe you got to use euphemisms. I don't know if that will work for someone like me, but who knows? Again, just submitting evidence basically was the FBI special agent, a shelf of black binders which contained CDs and thumbnails. On the third floor, a hidden safe was found in the dressing room closet, which the FBI used, I believe, was a buzz saw. I could barely hear what the FBI agent was saying. Both were female. The first one was really a smaller gal, a smaller lady. Not that that matters, but again, in that safe, binders of safe contained CDs. Loose diamonds, jewels, passports, boxes with evidence. Tape already of them found in the cabinet. And I want to point this out too, is a lot of this information is not new to most people who have been looking into this case, but it's the first time it's being presented in court. And the last person to testify today was one Kimberly Meir. I believe it's Meer, who is an ops specialist for the FBI. an analyst in child exploitation human trafficking squad. And all that submitted was basically a picture of Epstein and Maxwell together as evidence, which, again, this is a bit confusing. It's my first trial, but I can go on Google and find hundreds, probably, pictures of Epstein and Maxwell together. So I don't know, folks. I'm doing the best I can here with what I have. I met up with a lawyer today. Hopefully, I can get him on my show. But I do have to jet people. I'm going to tweet out the link to Jason Burmis's show, which I'm going to be on in 5 minutes here at the top of the hour. Check that out. Stay frosty. If you can help, buy me a coffee. The link, I think, should be in the description box below. Otherwise, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App all works fantastically as well. I'm trying to send people more to Substack because Substack does not censor. I haven't been censored on Patreon yet, but it probably is going to come at some point or another. So again, stay frosty. We'll see everybody very soon with Jason Burmis in 5 minutes.